What's good, everybody? It's your boy Everton. So today we're going to talk about US Mobile and Darkstar, which is basically AT&T's flavor of service when it comes to US Mobile, because they do offer three different services of all the major carriers. So I'm going to talk about my experience with that over the last 3 months. And in fact, before I actually go too deep, I'm going to actually answer the question, is it good? And the answer is yes, it's good. It's a good service. But that's not really the question that you need to have answered, especially when you're dealing with US Mobile. It's, is it better than the other two options that they have? Because you can sign up for essentially T-Mobile's flavor of service or Verizon's flavor of service that they offer. So I'm going to talk about my experience with it. I have had experience with all three, so let's go ahead and get into it. And just a heads up, my affiliate link and referral link will be in the description of the video and in a pinned comment. If you do want to check out US Mobile, click on that link. It'll take you right over there and you'll help out the channel as well and save yourself some money. But let's go ahead and get into it. So I've been on US Mobile for the last couple months, and yeah, it's actually really good. Now, if you don't, or if you're not familiar with how US Mobile really works, they do offer three flavors. They have Lightspeed, Darkstar, which is AT&T's that I've been testing, and they have WarpSpeed, which is Verizon's flavor of it. Really enjoying the service, so I'm going to actually talk about call quality and the data performance and just keep it really simple. May mention a couple features, but let's go ahead and get into it. So starting out with the call quality, it is really good. I've had experience with Verizon's service, which I think is kind of top tier, and this is like neck and neck, indistinguishable. Now, I'm still going to give it to Verizon service because I've had them for so long. I've had them for 4 years, and I've never had really a call quality issue. So I'm going to say like more like 1A and 1B. You can't go wrong with it. I think they're both at the top tier if you're really concerned about having the most pristine call quality. There was never any times where I was driving and someone couldn't hear me, or it was staticky or a call drop. And I live in the San Antonio area, and what makes San Antonio kind of unique is that it has both like the rural and the city area or the suburban area, and you have outskirts of places where it's really challenging to get service. So at the end of the day, I mean, I'm really impressed with the Darkstar service when it comes to call quality. I was really crisp. Never really had any like those long delays where you had to hit dial and it's like kind of waiting. It works really well, and I was very impressed with that. Now, when it comes to data, that's a little bit more complex because it acts differently in different scenarios, right? So what I want to talk about is how the data performs when you're out and about. So, I'm a speed test kind of guy. I don't love it, to be honest with you. I run it just for out of curiosity. Basically I was getting from like anywhere from 300 to about 575 around there consistently. And I actually like that. I don't like to have really good speeds in one area of the city and then I go to another area of the city and it's like struggling, right? That for me is not a good experience. I know it looks good for certain YouTubers to kind of like just show like, oh, I can get gigabit speeds. I don't really care about that too much. One of the things about Darkstar was that it consistently got the same amount of speeds, and there were good speeds all over the city in San Antonio, which I was very happy with. There's one building that is my job, and I go there and I struggle with service. And the only service that really gets usable data that's like decently fast is a T-Mobile carried service. And I kind of knew this going into it, right? Because I've had AT&T in other areas as well, but I tested it, and I tested it even this morning, and it was, kind of struggling just to pull up even the speed test to run. Now, the speed test, when it actually ran pretty decently, but at the same time, it was kind of like sluggish to get up and going, and it wasn't really usable. Now, this is a extremely challenging situation. When I say usable, I mean barely usable when it comes to T-Mobile. So T-Mobile, I feel like it edges out when it comes to indoor situations that are a little bit challenging. Most of the time when I'm out and about, I'm having really, really good service in most places, even outdoors and indoors and around tall buildings as well. So as far as data goes, I would say, hey, it's really good, but it did struggle a little bit indoors. Now, when you're using it, right? Forget the speed test and everything like that. When you're using the service, surfing web pages and reading articles and things like that, how does it actually respond? How does it feel? Is it sluggish? Is it fast? Let's go ahead and talk about that. So in my experience, I thought it was really good. I never had any time where I felt like the internet was super slow. And I've been driving all over the city, going different places. And when I do go to different places, I have never had a hiccup. But I will tell you that next to the Warp Speed service versus Darkstar, which is AT&T's, which is what I'm talking about now, Warp actually was struggled a little bit, like in comparison. I only recognized it when I was putting it side to side. When it came to Warp Speed, or actually, well, I use Visible, so I'm gonna have to say Verizon's service seemed like a little slightly delayed and slightly sluggish compared to Darkstar. So Darkstar, the internet feels faster. But once again, I wouldn't make that the deciding factor. It's not something that I ever complained about on either carrier. It was only noticeable when I was like right next to each other. Now, one thing that I will talk about with the data is that fact that Warp Speed has priority data built in. For Darkstar, you have to pay an extra $9 to basically have that added in so that you can have a priority lane cut out for you so you can continue going fast whenever there's heavy demand for data in your area. Now, this impacts me sometimes, but it depends on the carrier as well. Now, I've had Darkstar for about 2 months and I have not ever felt the need to add priority data. I just haven't. Data just worked. Now, when it comes to YouTube playback and media playback, and I'm going to talk about YouTube specifically, it was really good actually because my settings for YouTube is on my phone to have it automatically default to the best setting based on the network speeds that I have available to me, and it automatically would default to 720, which is regular high definition. And then sometimes I would bump it up to like 2K, and there was no excessive buffering, right? I'd bump it up, it'd wait like maybe 2 to 3 seconds to start playing, and it wasn't lightning fast, but it didn't buffer a lot. There are other services where it will buffer. Now, you do have an option called Data Waster when you go onto US Mobile, which will allow you to get full 4K, and it just basically removes any speed caps. I mean, I didn't add that on there. They say they're going to add a fee to it later, but believe for still right now it's free. Haven't really checked it, but at the end of the day, I didn't really feel the need for that. 2K was good enough on a small screen for a phone. But at the end of the day, do I think it's a really good option for Darkstar? 100%. The only drawback is that if you're in a heavy priority, deprioritized area where the network demand is a lot, you can get deprioritized. And if that impacts you and you want to keep that good service, you may have to pay an extra $9, whereas Warp Speed, or the one that Verizon offers, is already included. And let's be clear, these are budget services. These are prepaid carriers. These are carriers that we're budget conscious about. I don't want to pay a lot of money for a cell phone bill or to use the features. So, I mean, that is something to talk about or think about. The fact that it didn't get the best data inside of that difficult situation, it's kind of a toss up. It depends on your own situation. For me personally, I would not make a decision based off of that because most of the other places where I went to inside buildings, it was totally fine. So yeah, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to give you guys an update on really good fast data. Consistently fast data performance is really good. Not a lot of slowdowns anywhere. It's consistently good everywhere, but you're not going to get that gigabit speeds anywhere. So just want to put that out there. And just a reminder that my affiliate link is in the description. If you definitely want to check out US Mobile, definitely click on that link. It'll take you right there. But until next time, my name's Everton, and I do videos Everton's way. Peace.